Let's get out to our Bruce Katz now, who is live out in the field with one of the snow plows that will be helping to clear the area roadways. Bruce?
Snow plows, thankfully, because snow plows right now around the state are really hard to come by. So an Indiana company came to New Orleans, and as you can see, these trucks are equipped with plows in the front, and they're all hydraulic, as you can see here. The truck goes, it can actually lift the hydraulic and scrape the ground to a point where it can get within 1/4 of an inch of the asphalt and clear out the entire way. As we were coming here, they had an NOPD that was struggling to get up the Crescent City Connection, and again, the snowplow put his plow down, gave him a free lane to go into, and the NOPD had no issue at all. Now, what they're saying is that they should be able to, in the next 8 to 10 hours, get most of the major arteries cleared up. We're talking Crescent City Connection, parts of the area around Causeway, some of the overpasses there, so certainly it's going to be a big deal. Right now, we're off of General de Gaulle on the West Bank, and you can see the snow is really coming down hard. Let's take a look over here. Here is the off-ramp to General de Gaulle on the West Bank Expressway. I mean, to see New Orleans and the West Bank in this condition with this much snow is just an amazing feat. And the driver was telling us that this is a legitimate snow that he has seen. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually come back. Levi Jett is our driver, and we're going to get the snowplow, and we're going to actually go down and talk to him to kind of compare some of these different snows that we had, and again, also what he has seen in the past of southern snows. So we're getting in the truck right now, and Levi is with us. Levi, we are live right now. So as we were coming over the Crescent City Connection, you were saying that this is a legitimate snow. I mean, this is like South Louisiana snow. You get some snow, but this is one of the bigger storms you've seen.
Yes, I mean, especially for this area of the country. And we were talking earlier, sometimes a winter storm warning will get issued in parts of the country like this for maybe only an inch or two of snow. But this one was earned. 5, 8, it's 10, 12 inches in some spots in Louisiana. Definitely earns and the winter storm warning plus the blizzard warning on top of it.
So right now what we're doing is we're going down General de Gaulle. We're going to get up onto the Crescent City Connection here, and in my study and going back, I have never seen any type of snowplow in the New Orleans area. Again, this is the first time I think we've ever had to get snowplows in New Orleans, and with that, so much snow on the ground, you were saying that you all could really get this cleaned up in a very fast time frame.
Yeah, we're used to this type of snow. We definitely have the equipment. So I think that we'll be able to do a pretty good chunk of work over this afternoon into this evening. Our hope is to open up some of the more high priority areas and really focus on bridges and overpasses, because as there is no ground to support them,
right?
We're going to have cold air rushing underneath, and those surfaces are going to freeze and stay frozen. And that's why it's so important for us to be able to clear this accumulation off.
So what we're doing now is we've got 14 trucks. So the trucks go kind of in each lane, and they clear each lane as they go on by. And Blaine, our photographer, I mean, you can see just how clear that lane is as the snowplow goes through. It's just an amazing feat where, again, we don't ever think that it's going to ever be this bad. And I think, Levi, that was the thought here, that, we may get a couple of inches of snow, but this is a crippling snowstorm, not only for New Orleans, but even cities that are much farther north.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's something where I think that a lot of people really wanted to kind of wait and see, because I think that we're always maybe a little bit cautious about snowstorms in the south because they are so fickle.
Sure.
And a couple changes in the last minute could have put this a couple hundred miles north, or honestly a couple hundred miles south, and could have missed everybody altogether. So but again, definitely something that people will remember around here for a long time, I bet.
I'm amazed at how clear, just by the sweep of a plow, it is. Again, Blaine, if you could, maybe shoot out the window again. I mean, if you look at the lanes, I mean, you were talking 4 to 6 inches of snow on the expressway on-ramp to the Crescent City Connection. And as the plows go by, it's just absolutely clear. Now, what are the odds we may get an additional half an inch of snow? We're clearing it now. What about rebuild? I mean, the storm is kind of passing us over the next couple of hours, so we're not in the beginning of it. So do you feel pretty confident that even though we're plowing right now, that things will be pretty good in terms of the plowing that you're doing now?
Yeah, I think that the snow, for the most part, is pretty much winding down.
Right.
I don't think we have too much time left outside of some flurries and snow showers that might go until the early evening. But again, I think that we're probably going to have to worry about drifting, blowing snow,
right,
more than really anything else as far as just additional precipitation. And the storm is going to play out and move east, and from there, we're going to just have to monitor for blowing and drifting, really.
Gotcha. So right now, guys and viewers out there, we are on the Crescent City Connection now. We are on the upslope of the actual bridge itself, approaching the superstructure where, of course, all the new lighting has been done. And I have to tell you, it is absolutely wall-to-wall snow, easily up to 4 to 6 inches, covering the entire roadway. I mean, to think that the Crescent City Connection would just be wall-to-wall snow the entire trip, I mean, this is the reason why that they ask, do not go on the roadways. This is the reason why that they say it's so dangerous and you're putting first responders in harm as well. So I was telling him, Levi, that we saw an NOPD coming over the bridge to meet your crew, and you actually put down the snowplow for him, and you gave him a nice clear shot. He was probably giving you a thumbs up, saying, thank you so much.
Yes,
I mean, because it is treacherous. I mean, you've got big tires on this truck.
Yes.
You've got the plow in the front, and as you guys go on, almost in one full swoop, you can get probably 75% of the bridge in one push with all these trucks.
Yeah, for sure. And, if we're staggered out the right way, we can probably reach from Jersey barrier to Jersey barrier. But if you notice up against these barriers over here, I mean, these are, 2 and 3 feet snow drifts,
right,
that have piled up. And, so the 4 to 6 inches that fell, that's one thing. But when you're really, trying to drive down these roads, or even, secondary or primary roads in the city, and you're dealing with, drifts of 2 and 3 feet.
Sure.
That's really tough to maneuver around.
And we actually have had 2 to 3 foot drifts. I mean, which is, again, incredible. When you have 8 to 10 inches of snow, this snow was really a light powdery snow. In fact, it wasn't a heavy snow, which was good because power lines could easily go down, and then you could have tree limbs with the heavier weight of the water of that snow go down on lines. So the bad is you get the drifts, which again, if you can see, Blaine is shooting to the left. Some of those drifts are as high as the actual barrier, which are about 3.5 feet. I mean, that's an amazing drift with these winds that are kicking up. So again, we are now approaching the upslope coming in, and the visibility on the bridge is really restricted with snow and just a lot of that blowing snow. It is coming into frame right now, and as you can see, we're starting to see the big superstructure coming up now where the lights are, and the snowplow is pulling all that snow with the actual shovel basically in front of the truck, and all that spray you're seeing is the actual shovel of the truck kind of blowing the snow to a different side, where another plow picks it up, throws it to another side, and pretty much clears out the roadways here. So, I mean, look at the center of the superstructure here. This is where we are right now in terms of we are almost center river at this point, and it is absolute wall-to-wall snow, and we are talking drifts on the left side. And Levi, if I'm exaggerating, let me know. That's probably 4-foot drifts that are covering the entire barrier on the left side. I mean, they're completely at that level where the snow blew over them because it didn't have any wall to catch onto. Incredible. Go ahead.
This is what really, prompted the blizzard conditions earlier. Blizzard conditions not necessarily about, how much snow is really falling. It has a lot more to do with visibility and the sustained winds that we saw. But those blizzard conditions, give you drifts just like this.
Right. Just incredible here. Just incredible. In your opinion, you've done this for a while, to see snow like this as far south as New Orleans to the Gulf of Mexico, what are your thoughts?
As we came down here from Indiana, each, little checkpoint you passed, whether it was Nashville or Huntsville or Birmingham or wherever it was, the feeling just felt more odd the further south we drove. And then, once we got down in this area, we really started to see snowfall and accumulating snow, and all of that start to play in.
Right.
And that's what we got.
Right.
Our crew is coming behind me, and I can swing over here and get a good shot of them coming in if you want.
Oh, sure. That'd be great.
Cool.
So what we're going to do is we're at the Chapatulas exit right now, but we're going to actually turn around and, which again, we would never do on the Crescent City Connection, but actually go in the opposite direction of traffic. And Blaine has a really nice shot. There you can see the superstructure. Go ahead and get your radio going, Levi.
I'm sitting right on the other side of the bridge, waiting for you guys to come across.
So there you can see the drifting snow, as you were saying. I mean, look at the blowing snow. I mean, some of that is actually snow that is on the bridge, but also it's still coming down at a pretty good rate. So the other trucks are going to be coming on down, and they're taking each section of lane and throwing it to each other to where they push it on the side, and eventually they pretty much clear off everything that's going on. So if you're just turning us on, this is Bruce Katz live on the Crescent City Connection. We are now just at the top of the span where we have snow drifts up to 4 to 5 feet along the barriers of the actual center point that divides the east and westbound traffic. And we're at a snowplow, which the city hired 14 of them. We're awaiting them to come, and in fact, I think we see some lights coming down.
Yeah, I can hear them and see them.
You can hear them and see them, and looking down at the structure, that's the main structure of the Crescent City Connection that you're looking at. I know the visibility is bad, it's hard to see, but at this vantage point, at this elevation above the river, this is how low visibility is. So not only with snow, it's very treacherous driving with actual visibility as well, with the snow coming down, very slick streets. And again, you can see those snow plows are coming down. They're going off to the right toward the Chapatulas off-ramp, and you can see how those snow plows, they're moving in tandem, taking each lane, and behind them, as that snow continues to be pushed out, it actually clears the lanes, and it's a pretty quick clear. Levi, you were mentioning that, you guys working in tandem, you guys have done this for a long time. I mean, you can read each other's minds, I bet, on where these plows are going and what direction they're moving that snow.
Oh, for sure. And, something with the wind blowing like this, you have to kind of keep in mind is you want to work with the wind when you're fighting these drifts, because if you clear something and the wind just blows it right back over,
right,
you're having to go back and do double the work, which no one wants to do that.
Absolutely.
So being mindful of that wind direction, and again, plowing with the wind instead of against.
Sure. So here come some more snow plows now. Again, in New Orleans, we have a total of 14 plows that have come in from Indiana, and thank goodness for these guys. They came in to try and help us and get these roadways cleared out, because we expected this snow, but I don't know if anyone really expected. Yes, we knew this amount of snow could be coming, but what the extent of the actual circumstance would be after that fell. So pretty much the entire off-ramp now to that point is clear to Chapatula Street. So it's amazing how quickly they can do this and move on by. So your at least goal is, at this point, you're going to clear the Crescent City Connection first in both directions?
Yeah. So we are going to work on bridges first, try to get as many cleared as we can. Again, before the cold temperatures set in overnight. You can see right now it's about 26 degrees, and that's only going to fall throughout the evening. And then we're going to work with the city to address the high priority areas and work with law enforcement and first responders to be able to help them get to calls that they need to get to.
Gotcha. In your opinion, I know it's up to state police and DOTD, but at what point do you think that you all would get the roads to a safe situation that you all could say, you know what, we feel confident that people could go east and west? But remember, you're clearing the bridge, but coming here, Levi, I mean, the surface roadway has 4 to 5 inches of snow.
Yes.
So even though this may be clear, then you're going to hit another big area of snow that could cause issues.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So do you think you may have to plow a lot of that area too? Or is it more bridges?
Going to be tough to see. I mean, again, our priorities are bridges and the higher priority roads, getting access, to hospitals and those types of areas. And as we progress, if the city wants us to start looking at some secondary roads and some more neighborhood type streets,
right?
We'll gladly, stick around and help out as much as we can.
Sure.
But I do know that, later in this week, we are looking at temperatures being, well above freezing again, and that's going to help to melt some of this stuff off too.
Absolutely. So you can see on the far right where the snow's been pushed, you have a huge area of snowdrift that they're pushing. So they're going in different tandems. They're not going behind each other. They're kind of going staggered, where as they throw that snow, the next one can pull it even more, and as they come on by, you can see, I mean, look at the snow coming off of that plow. I mean, that is just a legitimate snow that's coming off. I mean, for South Louisiana, to see this in my lifetime, I'm born and raised here, Levi, I have never seen anything like this ever before. We've seen a little snow, maybe a half an inch, and, within a day it's gone. But to see this gridlock and this much snow, it is just, for me, it's amazing. And so many different people who've never seen snow, I mean, they're seeing the same thing we are. So
sure.
We're kind of going the wrong way, which we can, because we're the only ones on the bridge right now. And the snowplows are doing their job. And, of course, they do have barricades up. They have barricades up at all entrances to the bridges, as well as we got on at Carrollton, the Carrollton on-ramp, where you can go onto Carrollton or toward Howard Avenue, toward Fox 8 and Xavier, or head to the Crescent City Connection. What we have is big orange barricades. And if you're out and about and you cross those barricades, I can tell you right now, you're in for getting stuck, and not many people are going to be able to come and help you, because police units they're not four-wheel drive. They don't have snow tires. So we are in a situation where if you go out and about, you go around barricades, you're on your own at that point. I mean, we want to help, but it's dangerous not only to put yourself in that situation, but also first responders as well. So what is the next step here, Levi, we're going to do? So this is probably number 12 or 13 out of the 14 coming on by. So when the final plow moves in, you guys go back into regulation and just do it again?
Yeah, so I think the next thing for them is probably going to be to hop the other direction again, to do another pass.
Right.
Again, it's a combination of, we're doing tandem plowing, trying to move through the best we can, but it's also a matter of getting both sides and just, kind of continuing to chip away at it the best we can.
Right. So there's a DOTD, Department of Transportation vehicle. It's just kind of patrolling and going through the area now. And I can tell you, fortunately, many people are heeding the warning and the word to not get out. Through the entire trip, coming in from Fox 8, coming in onto Carrollton, onto the on-ramp, to the Crescent City Connection, all the way to General de Gaulle, there was not one person on the road, with the exception of a couple of NOPD, and the NOPD that we kind of gave a kind of clear swath to be able to get through, because they were struggling getting up the bridge. And when we pulled in front of him and cleared the way, he was like a godsend. Like, oh my gosh, it's like parting of the snow, and he had a really clear sign. So here's the actual off-ramp coming in off of Chapatulas now, and Blaine is shooting it for us, and you can see, I mean, it's pretty clear. You do, of course, have on the side caution lanes, some snow, and that's going to have to stay, but the main artery itself is actually pretty clear. As before, we were driving through snow, even in this four-wheel drive truck, which is high up with the actual plow in front, we felt the rocking and the sliding of that snow, and now it's a much, much smoother ride. Of course, we're going slower because, it's still very slick out here, but the fact that we're down to maybe, an eighth to a quarter of an inch as opposed to 5 to 7 inches of snow on the actual ground, the roadway's in a much better position. Now, the other concern is, coming in, Levi, and you've dealt with this as well, is as we get potential light melting and then we get refreezing overnight, that causes black ice. You've dealt with black ice. Explain to the viewers in New Orleans and the Louisiana area that have never really driven in black ice, tell us what it is and how dangerous it is.
Man, That's the real one of the real problems with dealing with snow and ice. Not many people have a ton of problems when there's a foot of snow out.
Right.
Everybody sees that coming. It's the black ice that you can't see. Black ice blends in with the pavement, so it's essentially kind of transparent. And as we're dealing, which you guys will be dealing with this for days, that melt and refreeze cycle as we go, that is going to be something to definitely watch. And as you can kind of see on, especially the off ramp as we came down,
Sure.
there was still some snowpack left behind, and really that's attributed to those colder temperatures that are underneath those overpasses and entry
Right.
ramps. Keeping it cold enough to where we can't get a clean scrape like these guys are getting on this road here.
Sure.
We're scraping right here, and we're getting back to blacktop pretty easily.
Right. And it's amazing just how clear the roads are as they do go in tandem, and then they just actually clear that out. Now, that doesn't guarantee, though, that we're going to solve the ice problem either, because
No.
there's still
Yes.
ice and there's still some snow. But as far as the thickness of snow, and this is probably the final big scrape, I mean, he's getting, it looks like the last of the last to get as close to the roadway as he actually can.
Yeah, that'll be the final scrape on this for now. Again, it's still snowing. We'll still be dealing with drifts.
Right.
And as we go on, we're going to have to be mindful of how we use our salt, and try to use our resources the best we can.
Right.
But generally speaking, once we get a nice pass like this, we want to come back through and put some salt down to keep things from freezing up, and to kind of keep it try to keep the snowpack kind of loose and slushy.
Gotcha. So this is really phase one.
Yes.
Phase one is getting the clearing out, and then you all will come back with actual salt. So you all are going to use salt, actual salt?
Yes.
Okay, because the state normally uses more of a sand, I think, type mix, where salt, basically, explain how that is more effective, where, again, we don't use it much because we don't get it, how it's more effective than, say, sand.
Yeah, so sand is primarily just used to help out with traction.
Right.
Doesn't have any melting agents in it. So what we actually brought down with us is what we call treated salt.
Okay.
So you have your typical rock salt that most of the highway departments will use. That's just your typical sodium chloride salt.
Right.
But our treated salt does have some calcium mixed into it, which what that allows it to do, it allows it to be more effective
Right.
at a lower temperature.
Gotcha.
So your traditional rock salt may only be effective until, I don't know, somewhere between 15 and 20 degrees, kind
Right.
of depending on the weather.
Right.
Whereas when you mix in calcium to that, calcium chloride, that can be effective, down into the single digits.
Gotcha. Wow.
And give us a lot more, and which it'll work wonders down here. But yeah, so all of our trucks, all 14 trucks, are loaded with salt, carrying about 2 to 3 tons
Right.
of salt apiece. So we've got a pretty decent amount to be able to help out with, and then we've discussed it with the city, and sounds like we might be able to refill with some salt from the state too.
Gotcha. So here is a car that is actually, I think, stuck.
Yes.
And NOPD, I mean, his front wheels, if you want to stop real quick, we can show that. So here's NOPD trying to help this car. His front wheels are just going and going, obviously not a front wheel drive. And with that, we're continuing to see that. What's that? Oh, here. All right, so we're gonna clean off the lens here real quick. So NOPD has a little bit of an issue here where we've got a car that is stuck and he just can't go anywhere. And NOPD is sitting there with the actual barricade saying, don't go up, and that's part of the reason why we're asking people not to get on the road. He is spinning his tires. He's just not going anywhere at this point. And, again, it's a dangerous situation for people to be out in. And at this point, we can, head on and meet the rest of the crew. This is just something that, is unfortunate, but they're stuck at this point. So you can easily see how the road is clear here, from the actual plows. I mean, it's amazing. From just a few minutes ago, we had 4 to 6 inches of snow covering the entire roadway, and now there's a vehicle in front of us, and he's not slipping or sliding at all. Not to say it's safe to get outside now. However, it does help the first phase to get rid of most of the snow, then come in with the salt, and then let it do its job, as you mentioned, to help it melt and help it come down. Now, the snow is actually coming down a little heavier at this point, so we're not done with it. Likely around 5:30 to about 6:30, most of the snow should have ended. But if you don't have to go out, do not go out. Here's another NOPD blocking the on-ramp to the Crescent City Connection, not allowing anybody to go on the actual bridge itself. And we're going to actually go back on the bridge and do another pass. Levi, is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So they're going to go through, and the opposite side, going to the West Bank, they're going to actually go ahead and scrape that too. So this is a situation where, again, I would have to say the city knew the snow was coming, but when it comes down to it, what the effects would be. And right now we're at St. Charles Avenue, right under the actual expressway going on the up ramp to the bridge itself. And of course, there's not a whole lot of snow here because the fact that, it's covered. But if you look out, Blaine, if we can look out toward the circle here, you can actually see just how snowy it is up the circle. I mean, it's a beautiful sight, I have to say. It's just incredible. Streetcar lines are completely covered in snow. RTA is saying that, they're not going to have service for, potentially a couple of days. So those who may take RTA, we need to check in and see what's going on with that. But it looks like for the next day or so, traffic is going to be at a standstill. And I don't think we're going to see much of the city opening up. I just don't think we're going to see a whole lot of stuff happening in terms of getting back to normal and regular life. But, it's a start at least. And you can certainly see when you get this much snow in, about 7 to 8 hours without snow plows, and now we have them, there's a lot of roadways to actually clean up. So
we're actually going up to 2-lane right now.
Okay, to 2-lane.
Yes.
Okay.
So the crew's right in front of us, you see, so we'll catch up to them here in just a moment.
Okay. So they're going to head over to 2-lane Avenue, and so they're going to do that. I bet you we can go, Levi. Yeah, they see that we're working here. NOPD, we're at a red light, but again, there's no traffic, so the sooner the better to get the job done. I guess we can get on the road and do it. So coming ahead now, we are approaching 2-lane, coming in toward the bus terminal where we have the Greyhound bus and Amtrak. So we're approaching here, and you can see the snow, just how much it's piled up from the plows themselves. Now, Levi's getting the plow now on the ground. We hear the scraping, and here we go. Basically, the neutral ground, completely a winter wonderland, and the roadways in front of us getting plowed at this point to where it's getting cleared up. So we're approaching Howard Avenue right now. Let's see, we are approaching areas just by the train station and the bus station itself. So the plowing does continue. Again, we have tracks here for the streetcars. They're completely under several inches of snow, so likely again, they're electric powered, and the tracks have to be cleared with no ice for those, streetcars to be able to go down the road and do their thing. So it's going to take a little while for the city to get back with this type of snowfall. Even with plows, even with salting, we're going to have likely that melting and some refreezing as well. So, Meg and John, if you guys have any questions for us,
yes, we do have a question
for Levi,
for you,
we'll be
Bruce.
happy to answer those.
Yes. Can you,
yes.
Bruce, can you ask Levi, we were wondering since, Amber Wheeler is back here and talking to us about how some of the heaviest snowfall is falling right now. So why is the decision to plow the bridge now? Why not wait until the snow stops falling?
Very good point. So Levi, one of our meteorologists, Amber Wheeler at the station, is saying some of the heavier snow's moving in now. Why the decision to do it now with some of the heavier snow? Even though it's winding down, why plow it now and not wait until later?
Yeah, it's a good question. So typically what we do a lot of times up north with, commercial snow removal is, the idea is to try to, try to stay on top of it, try to clear every inch, every couple inches that falls. So one, that it is safer if people are out. the likelihood of them, getting stuck isn't as high. If a couple more inches fall this evening, it beats, having to commute in 2 inches versus, 6 inches and 3 feet snow drifts. So that's kind of why we're out right now, is just trying to get, some order restored to the roads. And if we do have to come back and do a second scrape, that's no big deal and kind of expected.
So to you all, this is during Mardi Gras we say, hey, it's Tuesday, but everywhere else it's it's a regular Tuesday where it's Fat Tuesday here. I mean, this is a walk in the park for you guys. You guys have done this for years, right?
Yes. Yep. And again, this is still a severe winter storm, even though it is in New Orleans.
Right.
So not discrediting what you guys are going through at all, but yes, I mean this is kind of run of the mill for the Midwest. But again, not so much the blizzard condition part. That is something that's somewhat rare. It's not something.
All right, we've lost the audio for just a second. We'll hang with the shot for just a second in case it pops back in. But what a fascinating trip this has been to take a little trip on a snowplow. And, they hope to make, I think it's fair to say, more than just a dent in the issue on the Crescent City Connection on Tulane Avenue, where they're working this crew from Indiana. 14 plows that have come down, and then, we're seeing the first step here. The plowing to try to just scrape it, work with the wind, as he put it, so you're not blowing snow where you're going to go next. And then some salt and calcium product that he mentioned and described for us that they bring in to try to give it a de-icing effect.
It was also interesting, John, to see how those plows had to work in tandem. So it wasn't just 1 or 2 plows, on either side of the bridge there. They had 3 at one point that were sort of staggered to help get every inch of snow off to the side. But then, of course, you have to take care of the snow drifts that Bruce was pointing out were about 4 feet deep in some spots. So then another truck had to come through and get that snow drift off the road in order to totally clear it. And Levi's saying, look, they may have to go back and do this again since the snow has not stopped falling. That might have to be another route that they're going to have to revisit again, but at least they're making a dent in this so that they don't, approach the bridge for the first time and they've got an enormous amount of snow that they're dealing with. I also thought it was interesting, Levi saying that even he was astonished by the amount of snow and this winter weather storm happening here in New Orleans. He's been all over the country helping with snowstorms, but this is unique to him.
I love this guy. We're all freaked out. He's just kind of calmly going on, yeah, this is weird.
Collected.
Yeah, this is kind of unusual, but kind of run of the mill, all in a day's work for Levi. So thanks so much to him and Bruce Katz. We may